Peter, you mentioned Bills Chiefs, and this feels like it should be the AFC Championship, not a divisional round game. And whoever wins Titans-Bengals, needs to be very, very thrilled by the reality that they didn't have to face both the Bills and the Chiefs on their path to a Super Bowl. But they still have to play one of them, whoever wins this game. And that's the one I went back and forth on the most this week. I hope it's a high-scoring game. Both teams scored in the 40s in the wild card round, and it just feels like everything's lining up for this to be a special game, which probably means the final score is going to be 41-3. But it feels like it's moving in the direction of being a special, memorable, back and forth. Whoever has the ball last is either going to score a touchdown to win or fail, and the other team wins. It just feels like that's where it's heading.
Yeah, this is really one of the great divisional playoff games in history, because you know, on one side of it, the home team basically is a prime Super Bowl contender every year, has won one, you know, has been on the verge of one another time, and then, you know, obviously was so close to winning another one until they got blown out by the Bucs. And on the other side is a team that just played one of the great playoff games that a team has played in NFL history, with a red-hot quarterback and the ability to beat anybody. And I look at this, Mike, and you know what I really, really like about this? I like the fact that this is the fourth time that these two teams have played in 15 months. And for as much as I criticize the schedule, because very often it doesn't give us enough of the really great matchups between the great quarterbacks, the NFL schedule has basically conspired to give us Bills-Chiefs in the regular season 2 years in a row and Bills-Chiefs in the playoffs 2 years in a row. And so that means that, to me anyway, this becomes kind of a standard in a weird way for the NFL to aspire to. You know, we've got to find a way to make sure, and if the current way of the 17th game of that little formulaic way that they invented this year doesn't quite work, go to the Peter King formula, which is every year Howard Katz, Mike North, that schedule team sits down and says, we are going to make the best matchups we can to get the highest numbers we can in ratings and to get the best football games that we can. I wish they would do it that way personally. I know they're not going to do it, but to me, I think the Bills, Buffalo and Kansas City is just a sign that, you know, the more often they play, the better it is for football.
And the key is, if both teams win their division, they're guaranteed to play the next year no matter what. Because if you win the division that you're in, you always play the other three division winners from your conference every year without fail. And that's one of the reasons why Peyton Manning and Tom Brady became such a regular rivalry. They dominated their division, so they played almost every regular season against each other, and they kept crossing paths in the playoffs. And, Peter, I said the other day, it feels like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes were waiting for the new Brady Manning. This could be kind of bubbling up out of all these great quarterback permutations that are out there, and we're looking and waiting and hoping. This may be it, staring us in the face in the divisional round. It feels like, again, it should be AFC Championship, but Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes may be it.
Hey, and, you know, neither of them come into this game playing anything but at their absolute peak, and that's what makes this such an enticing matchup. And one of the other things, Mike, is that I think both players, but particularly Patrick Mahomes, has really had to make a huge adjustment in his game. Because, look, Mahomes knows that Tyreek Hill isn't in perfect condition. He knows that he's got to make sure that he looks for other people. And so what has happened the last two games in Kansas City, Byron Pringle has become a legitimate option for Patrick Mahomes. What's happened in the last 2 weeks? Jerick McKinnon has become an excellent, third down and every down option. The kind of player that the San Francisco 49ers bought in free agency 4 years ago and never were able to see the fully formed Jerick McKinnon because he was always hurt. But Kansas City is the beneficiary of that. And look, to me right now, they play with house money when they have Jerick McKinnon, Byron Pringle. It's just an example of the work that Brett Veach and his personnel staff have done in making this roster almost bulletproof to injury. I thought 2 weeks ago this team was in real, legitimate trouble. And it's almost like Andy Reid laughs at real, legitimate trouble because they have been last week they were just as powerful as ever against Pittsburgh, and they're playing it with, the stand-ins.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And Jerick McKinnon has been incredible for them, and they've been waiting for somebody to step up across from Tyreek Hill, and Pringle looks like he's the guy, at least for now. I'll say one last thing, and then we got to take a break. Whoever wins this game needs to guard against a letdown in the AFC Championship, especially if it's the Bills. Because you think about what the Bills have accomplished so far. If they pull off this win, they beat the Patriots. They finally beat Big Brother at ping pong. Oh, and they kicked the crap out of them in the process. Right.
Yeah.
Then you defeat the other team that you can't get past. And I think back to the image of Stephon Diggs standing out there on the field watching the Chiefs celebrate the Lamar Hunt Trophy presentation and winning their latest ticket to the Super Bowl last year and determining that they're going to get past the Chiefs this year. There's still a game between beating the Chiefs and getting to the Super Bowl. And whether it's the Bengals rolling into Buffalo on a day that may feel very celebratory, like week 1 when the Steelers showed up and beat them somehow, or having to go to Tennessee and beat the Titans, I'm just saying that you can't lose focus. Whoever wins this game can't lose focus because they could be up for a letdown next week, because whatever emotion, whatever motivation, whatever incentive, whatever excitement is baked into this one, it's not going to be the same next week, and that's going to be part of the challenge for whoever wins to get ready for the next one that delivers the spot in the Super Bowl.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.